offense, defense, special teams. The Nittany Lions run over and around the Spartans in the Motor City.
It's good just to, send everybody out and end this regular season on a high note.
Penn State is ranked 10th in the latest college football rankings, always an enticing choice for any bowl game. PSU sits and waits for their postseason destination.
We played good enough to win 10 games and hopefully get into a New Year's Six bowl game and play well in it.
And she's been giving back to the Penn State community for over 60 years. How you can join the captain, Sue Paterno, on a Happy Valley cruise to benefit Special Olympics. It's time for Nittany Game Week. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski, alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. Only the second time Michigan State has hosted a game at Ford Field. Not sure they're in a hurry to do it again. The Nittany Lions ran all over the Spartans in the Motor City.
It was from start to finish. I mean, I think Michigan State's the high water mark for them. They had a couple of completions through the interception, and it was all downhill from there.
And the one thing, the defense played great. They got the shutout, which is fantastic. And I say this all the time, the best player in the team is the team. Give credit, too, to the offense. They're not turning over. They're running the ball. No interceptions, creating long fields for the opponent. The kicking game was on par again, which led to that beatdown.
The coaches utilized not one, two quarterbacks in the red zone. The defense blanks another opponent, and it's the end of an end-of-season tradition and our opening drive. All right, so here we go. We start with the offense. All Pistons fire in the Motor City. The explosive plays come one after another. They throw out wide to the running backs, target the tight ends, complete a deep ball of over 60 yards. A lot of fun when just about everything you attempt works.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what's not to love? I mean, you 42-0, and really, it was never even close. It was never in doubt, and you had big plays coming, which it's been a long time waiting for those things to happen, but they did.
Things that we've talked about, Tom, like stretching out. We saw both Singleton and Katron Allen were out wide. So offensively, they really put pressure on the Spartans' defense right away.
They spread them right out. The guy went up over the top on him, got the deep ball going, got the big runs, and they just demoralized them. That game was over at halftime.
Yeah. These are the best days for an offense when the Spartans' defense has no idea what's going to hit them next.
It's like pick your poison. You can stop the run game. Well, we got a pass game, too. With the receivers, the tight ends, too. Then you stop them, you still have a running game, too. So, we have weapons all over the field.
It was a ton of fun on that sideline, seeing all the faces, like the happy faces on defense and offense. And I know a lot of guys had a lot of family up here just from being around here. So it was good just to, send everybody out and end this regular season on a high note.
We mentioned the two quarterbacks. Bo Prabula runs one in for a score and tosses a touchdown to Tyler Warren. His emergence as a threat scares opponents and keeps Aller sharp. Competition pushes everyone to raise the level of their game.
3 shutouts on the year for the defense. Did a great job. And, Tom, you alluded to the fact that when you're playing great defense, a lot of times it's because of all the aspects of it.
Everything. I can remember one game, people said, oh, you guys played great. I was going on the field for 40 plays because the offense controlled the ball, run the ball, no turnovers, no picks. Drew hasn't thrown a pick all year, has he? One pick. I mean, so they're not putting the defense in a spot where, oh, boy. So it's been long fields. And I want to emphasize, the kicking game, too, has been good. Solid, no problems.
Alex Felkins nailed a pretty long one in this one. As we look at some of the defensive video, and they pitch a shutout, which is nothing new for these guys. But we talked about Abdul Carter comes busted, and Curtis Jacobs always making big plays. These guys had a great day.
So Michigan State going in was one-dimensional. They kept it one-dimensional, and the pass rush could just come after a young quarterback who you could see got flustered early on. And in a game like this, when you're playing a team that really doesn't have a lot to play for, like Michigan State, if you get on them early, often that just seals the deal.
They were so effective, Tom. The quarterback is now in the transfer portal.
Well, that kind of tells you what kind of day it was.
Yeah, exactly. Hauser, a young kid's got 3 more years of eligibility. He's leaving the Spartans. Well, for the defense, this performance was all about meeting the expectations.
I wouldn't say it's kind of normal to us, but it's kind of the standard that we hold just with the way we practice and the way we approach everything and the way we compete in practice. I would say the week of practice was great, and the competition brought out our offense today and our defense today. So we prepared very well, and it showed today.
This was neat to see for Kobe and his brother Kalen. It's a homecoming to Michigan. Here's Kobe in a group photo with his Spartans friends. Certainly a memorable trip back home. Of course, a win over Michigan State earns Penn State the honor of carrying out one of the largest ill-conceived rivalry trophies, the land grant. It's an end-of-season tradition that is essentially over. They play 3 times in the next 5 years, but end of the season probably won't be.
Yeah, you know, there were 24 times. One of the things, George Perlis, to his credit, when Penn State got invited to the Big Ten, he called Joe and said, let's play every year at the end of the year and create a trophy. Now, I don't think either one of them were ever going to win.
They didn't follow up on the architect.
No. I don't know, and I'm not going to blame. But you know, it was neat that George Perlis was the guy that reached out, and you know, it really hasn't been, you know, like Penn State Pitt, but it's been a lot of fun knowing that that was the last game of the season.
Had some really good battles with the Spartans too over the years.
You sure did, and I know that trophy though. I never could figure where was it in the trophy case.
It was always sitting in front. But, you know, you look at some of the coaches that have coached. George Perlis, I mentioned. Nick Saban was part of that for 5 years. You got, you know, Joe Paterno obviously was part of that for a long time. Mark D'Antonio and now James Franklin. So, I mean, there's been some really good coaches that have coached in this thing.
Yeah, the land grant trophy belongs to the Nittany Lions until at least 2025 when they travel once again to face Michigan State. And the guys seem to enjoy the Friday night game and spending Thanksgiving together.
This week was super fun. It was a short week. We didn't get an off day this week, but it was worth it because, you know, we had Thanksgiving meal together during the week, and then coming to Ford Field, Lions Stadium, I mean, it's so cool. You see it on Thanksgiving Day every year, and to play in it in this stadium, it's really cool.
Next year, Thanksgiving weekend will be spent at home when they host Maryland. The Penn State is in prime position once again for a New Year's Six bowl bid. The one game they've never played in is anxious to bring the Nittany Lions and their fans on the road to Atlanta for the Peach Bowl. We spoke to the game's president, who envisions a crowd that resembles whiteout in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
We'd love to have them in there all white. Typically I ask both schools to wear dark colors because it looks great on the green field. But in that case, Penn State is somebody that in that all white with the Navy is really appealing to the history and the tradition of college football. So, yeah, we'd love to have them in their all whites and have all their fans wear white. I think Mercedes-Benz Stadium is the best stadium in the world. Arthur Blank, give him all the credit in the world. He probably put $2 billion into it. That it's very fan friendly.
Well, a lot of projections have Penn State going there to face Missouri from the SEC or perhaps the top non-Power 5 conference team going into championship weekend. That was Tulane. The Peach Bowl takes place on Saturday, December 30th at noon in Atlanta. Still to come, our scouting report concentrates on some of the key moments that propel the Nittany Lions to victory and a few that prevent them from reaching their ultimate goal, the Big Ten title. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
Opening Drive is sponsored by your local Ford store. Visit buyfordnow.com today.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Once the bowl opponent is announced, the coaching staff can go to work on breaking them down. Until then, a bit of self-scouting is in order, and I really like this idea for this week's report. Coach Paterno and Coach Bradley are going to show us some of the under-the-radar plays that ultimately lead to another double-digit win season.
Yeah, this is a matter of what is and what might have been. And, you know, I'm one of those fans that looks at what is. There are fans that say what might have been. So let's talk about what is. And let's look at what is right now. And what is a 10-win season, a big win over the Big Ten West champ in Iowa, possible New Year's Six bowl game, which we'll find out this weekend, top 10 overall ranking, and in the new playoff format, they would qualify next year. Now let's see what could have been. What might have been a win over Michigan would have given them the three-way tiebreaker. They'd be in the Big Ten title game. We'd be talking about that as college football playoff, and they avoid the upset loss to Indiana, which gives them 10 wins. So let's start with Indiana. Okay, because that was the one game other than Ohio State, Michigan that was in doubt. Here you have a third down and 8 late in the game. Indiana brings pressure, but they play zone behind it. 2 safety zone blitz behind it, Tom, and that creates reads for the quarterbacks, and that's where he gets in trouble here.
Yeah, he really does. As you can see, the one thing you're watching, it's a it's a dead giveaway with the coverage because you can see by how they lined up here.
And the pressure is on. He holds on the ball a little too long and uncharacteristically just throws it up for grabs, and that caused the problem. Now, let's talk about how the defense responded right after that. Okay, now it's 3rd and 8 for Indiana. They've got 4 big guys down here. Indiana ends up running into a 5-man pressure, and that's not what you want to do if you're Indiana. But a big stop for Penn State.
Yeah, great stop for Penn State. I mean, they needed one and they got it. This was a big, I'm surprised they ran the ball.
Yeah, they held him with 3 points, which then set up a chance for Drew Aller to win the game late in the game. Now, you get into that now. Again, another 5-man pressure from Indiana. But, Tom, show us, there's nothing to read here.
No, all you got to do is look at the eyes. Look at the eyes. It's a dead giveaway what they're playing. There's no disguise.
Right, and this is the matchup you want. A wide receiver on a safety, because if safety could cover, they would play corners.
And it's an inside receiver, which gives him a lot of room to do a lot of different things.
Yeah, a lot of room to throw that fade outside, and that's a big, big play. So with that being done, now let's go to Michigan. Now, this is the game that separates them from the playoff. Now, using analytics against them, Michigan goes to 3 wide receivers with number 7 at running back, not Corum. That's a key for pass. So Penn State's got a bunch of guys standing up here, smaller pass rush guys. And what does Michigan say? Let's see if they can handle the run. And here they go, 3rd and 10. They run the quarterback. J.J. McCarthy gets outside. Those small guys up front that are worried about getting field, they get blocked.
Plus, you have the extra runner in the quarterback, which creates a true 11-on-11 now.
No doubt about it. And he gets that big first down. Now, let's talk about everybody talks about the 4th and 6 in that game. The 3rd and 6 is the play that matters here. Here you see they 5-man pressure. Penn State keeps the tight end in the block. Now he's sitting here. Now let's go to the next screenshot, and you'll see where the yellow line is. This ball right now should be out of Drew Aller's hands, right behind that linebacker's head, and now the receiver's going to catch it, but he ends up throwing it to where the orange is, and now the backside safety becomes a factor. If he throws this on time, he's got a big play, first down, and Penn State's on their way down to tie in this game up, or based on the way they like to go for 2, taking the lead. Here's again, look at the shot from the end zone. You'll see that ball should be right there in the middle of the field. He throws it across the hash, and now that becomes.
As soon as he made the break, the ball had to go.
No question. You got to anticipate those things. Now, speaking of college football playoffs, we've got our own playoffs coming up. This weekend, we start the voting for the Pride Pick playoffs. We have 4 divisions: selfies, throwback photos, kids photos, and group photos. And go to NittanyGameWeek.com and vote. Vote early, vote often. You can vote more than once. And the lucky winner will go to the finals. There'll be 5 that go to the finals. And then somebody will get a cruise on Happy Valley Cruise to the Bahamas, happyvalleycruise.com. Now, this weekend, before we go, Penn Staters, if you have a rooting interest, you want to root for the favorites to win. That means Michigan, Texas, and you want Florida State to win, because if 2 of those 3 lose, 2 people could jump Penn State because they get the automatic bid to the nearest 6 bowl games. And a guy that will be on the cruise who never misses, Todd Sadowski.
All right, as is Tom Bradley. Can't wait for that. Thank you, coaches. 10 wins and a top 10 ranking is going to be good enough to qualify for the expanded 12-team playoff format. That starts in 2024. The Nittany Lions' recent history suggests they will be frequent participants in the fun.
Depending on the college football playoff rankings, I think we'd be in again. And I think we're playing kind of our best football now. So it's good to be kind of trending at the right time. But that's for next year. You know, this year we played good enough to win 10 games and hopefully get into a New Year's 6 bowl game and play well in it.
It is fun to speculate. Going to be a reality next fall. Remember, the top 4 seeds will get a bye. The next 4 host first-round games. So if you finish anywhere between 9 and 12, going to be a daunting task to go on the road 4 consecutive times to win the national championship. We have a very special guest for this week's Impact interview. It's Sue Paterno. We'll discuss how she continues to lend her time and energy to the Pennsylvania Special Olympics and what you need to know about the Happy Valley Cruise. Sue is the captain on that adventure every year. Plus, maybe we'll get an embarrassing story about Jay growing up. That would be a nice bonus. More Nittany Game Week is coming up after the break.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Our Impact interview guest really needs no introduction to Penn State fans. You know, Joe Paterno once said, "Don't worry about replacing me when I'm gone. You need to worry about replacing Sue." Sue Paterno came to Penn State as a student in the late 1950s and never left. In that time, she taught English at Bellefonte High School before starting a family. Over the next 60-plus years, she tutored Penn State players in English and gave her time and effort to raise money for Penn State and get involved in causes from hospitals to the Pennsylvania State Special Olympics. As part of that effort, she is the captain of the Happy Valley Cruise this March 3rd through the 10th, leaving from New York City and going to the Bahamas. The cruise benefits the Loretta Claiborne and Sue Paterno Endowment for Pennsylvania Special Olympics. You can join the fun by booking at happyvalleycruise.com. We want to talk about the Pennsylvania State Special Olympics Board and your work with them that you've done for decades. But you've been involved in planning the games, raising money for the games, and now leading another Happy Valley cruise. So can you tell us a little bit about what the endowment will do for Special Olympics and how much fun these cruises have been in the past?
Well, endowments, I believe, are necessary for any nonprofit to carry you through the bad times. The endowment has just been set up, so we're trying to fill the coffers. We have the Beaver Stadium Run, we have all the polar plunges, and now we're doing the cruise to try to raise money for the endowment. If you would go back 40 years when I first started volunteering with Special Olympics, it was a smaller group of athletes, and how far we've come from, say, 1985 till now, it's unbelievable. And it's unbelievable because of the volunteers and because of the athletes responding to everything we do. Now, what we do on this cruise is, let's say Penn Staters know how to have a good time, and we have a blast. They might not know each other before the cruise, but before the second day, everybody knows everybody else. And we have a great time together, all the athletes we have on board, and that includes Tom. We have a blast, and nobody cares how you sing or dance or what. Everybody gets to know each other, and all the stories crisscross. So we have fun while we're doing something for Special Olympics, and that, to me, is what it's all about.
Well, for decades, you have cooked mass dinners at your home for donors and friends and alumni of Penn State. And by some estimates, those donors have gone on to contribute over $1 billion to Penn State. You continue to stay involved with Penn State even all these years later. So what drives that passion for your alma mater?
Well, I went to Penn State, and I love Penn State. And I would say, I love Penn State, I love the students, and I love the faculty, and I love the town. It's the future of the world depends on the future of our young people. And we can't step back and not fund their progress. It's the future. It's not about them and about something that happened. It's who Penn State is. And if you're a Penn Stater, you have pride in Penn State, and you want it to continue to grow and do more and more for the students. And I think that's what drives me. I think it's the love of this place, and also the hope we can do the best we can for our future students.
So you tutored players in English starting in the late 1960s and continuing for well over 40 years. How important was it to you, both you and Joe, to have education be the keystone of Penn State football for so many years?
Well, when we were talking to the parents of the recruits on Saturday night at our house, the important thing is the first thing they had to do was get their education, and that was all important. Football was necessary for them to succeed on the field, but you don't want to succeed on the field and leave here without a degree. So Joe's rule was no class, no books, no play. We got married in '62, and that summer I tutored a coach's neighbor's son who went on to become a cardiologist. He's in Florida. So then the other coaches found out I could tutor. So I was tutoring in '62. They started bringing kids to the house. And then when I kept having kids, they had to bring the kids to the house because I couldn't leave. But, and I believed in it. And I made them a promise that what happened at tutoring sessions would not be told to the coaches. So that made it easier to work with them. And we believe in the education first.
What a pleasure to speak with Sue Paterno. Tom and I still have so many questions in relation to Jay growing up. But we're going to step aside for the TV show to take a break. We will continue our interview with Sue, so if you want to see the entire conversation, make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com where you can find our interview along with other web-exclusive content. Still to come, Tom hands out some hardware to a worthy group. Complete effort from the offense. It's not possible without these guys. Don't go anywhere. We're heading into the final minutes of Nittany Game Week.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by the We Are In, voted #1 game day restaurant in Center County. Follow us on Facebook and visit thewearein.com or call for dinner or room reservations.
It's time to hand out the scrap metal. When you see all of the offensive guys flying all over the field, none of it works without the big guys up front, Tom.
Have to give it to the big guys because for a couple of reasons. Thanksgiving Day, the big guys eat, and the big guys did a great job on Fridays. The offensive line wins the scrap metal this week.
I love that reasoning. The big guys needed to eat, and they did eat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they carved up the Michigan State defense, Jay, and as an offensive guy and play caller, you love to see just dial it up and everything works.
No question about it. And they really kind of took the heart away from Michigan State early in that game by getting up early on them.
Well, we like to connect our viewers with businesses that support the show. The location for this is our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com. It's an impressive roster of small and big businesses you need to check out for a variety of different services. Our goal is to build a team that keeps our hometowns strong. Depth chart, extended impact interviews, the Overtime podcast, where we dive a little deeper into some college football topics. You can find it all on our website, NittanyGameWeek.com. We appreciate you watching the 30-minute program and encourage you to consume some of our web-exclusive content. And we finish with some Pride Picks. Jay alluded to it. Pride Pick playoffs are coming up, so go to the website and vote for your favorites. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.